I just wanted to really say that I love you. I respect you. There's nobody I respect more. You're going to do a fantastic job.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. There is no suggestion we had anything to do with the U.S. election. You believe me, don't you? I totally believe you. You sound very believable. I don't think he's a very smart person.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
You know that Welsh zoo that's truly devastated and outraged that an escaped wildcat has been killed? What might have been better is if that they hadn't allowed the wildcat to escape in the first place. That's, I don't know, maybe that's unfashionable of me to say so. It's just a thought. US President Donald Trump said he believed Vladimir Putin when he denied accusations that Russia meddled in last year's US election. Because why would the head of a traditional enemy of the state and ex-chief spy lie about a thing like that? I mean, come on, Donny, this is getting desperate. I mean, I know you're worried, and the people around you are falling like ninepins, but still. Trump says he believes rootin' tootin' shootin' Putin despite multiple US intelligence agencies' conclusion of Russian interference. Trump says, every time he sees me... oh dear, I don't know how he keeps that up. He says, every time he sees me, he says, I didn't do that. That's what Putin says. Every time he sees Donald Trump, he says, I didn't do it. Who, me? Oh, God. And Donald Trump believes him because, he's such a great judge of people. Half of the people he hired for his cabinet are either fired or under investigation. He's a worse judge of people than he is a businessman. He's been a serial failure at pretty much everything he's ever done.
I've been successful in every business I've been in.
Well, once again, I stand corrected. And this all happened in Vietnam, by the way. The mention of which usually caused a mysterious bone spur in Donald Trump's heel. But now he's too old to get drafted. That seems to have been cured. It's a miracle! And US intelligence agencies and the FBI and the CIA and the NSA and all the rest of that lot have concluded that the Russians interfered to tip the election in Trump's favour through hacking and releasing emails to embarrass Hillary Clinton and spreading social media propaganda. But Vlad the Insaner said he didn't do it, so that's it. Case closed. Moved along, please, and nothing to see here. And you know what, there's the, I can't wait till this, till the bleep hits the fan. The ex-director of the FBI that's going through Trump's people with a magnifying glass, Robert Mueller. It could be the end of Donald Trump, Robert Mueller.
I'd like to punch him in the face.
I bet you would. I bet you would. Here is a list of your top 10 sex scandal revelations and accusations for the day, just in case you're keeping note. Now, keep in mind, these are all allegations, many of which have been disputed or denied. None of these people are guilty. They've just been accused as follows. Kevin Spacey's 15th and latest accuser comes forward. Celebrity hotelier Andre Balazs, 60, is accused of reaching up the skirt of actor Jason Bateman's wife in front of a group of people at a restaurant called the Chiltern Firehouse. ER and Top Gun star Anthony Edwards reveals he was molested when he was 12 by a male producer who also raped his friend. Olympic women's soccer star Hope Solo, 36, says ex-FIFA president Sepp Blatter groped her before a major awards show. You remember Sepp Blatter, don't you?
No!
Yeah, that's him. Bikram Yoga files for bankruptcy in the US after the founder fled the country amid a storm of sexual harassment suits. Star Trek star George Takei is accused of sexually assaulting an unconscious young male model in 1981. The BBC acts as its flagship Boxing Day Agatha Christie drama, Ordeal by Innocence, after star Ed Westwick was accused of rape. Ellen Page claims director Brett Ratner outed her and harassed women on the set of X-Men. A female Labour MP revealed a collection of love notes she claims a veteran Labour MP sent her in 20 years of upsetting and unwanted harassment. Actress Rebel Wilson says she was sexually assaulted by a male star in a position of power. A book has claimed that Vatican priests had sex with boys while popes had multi-million-dollar accounts, and alleges a host of Catholic sins, including gay sex in the Vatican's youth seminary. And the Vatican says that 3,500 priests were removed or sanctioned for raping children in the decade to 2014 alone. And they're still running schools. And that doesn't even mention the abuser-in-chief.
I will be so great to women. I cherish women.
That was today. And the pushback has started. It's amazing. People seem to be bored of sex stories already. Sex we're bored of now. This first suspiciously keen call is in Wanstead. Hello, Sophie.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
I'm great, mate.
I'm suspiciously keen because you mentioned something towards the end of your show yesterday, and it was about the fireworks.
Ah, yes.
And I couldn't stop laughing, but also it's really similar to my story last Sunday. I've lived in this area for 3 years. I wasn't too far from this area before, but Wanstead Flat has some really lovely fireworks every year, and there's a particular place I go to which I keep secret, and I'm able to stand under a really beautiful tree and watch the fireworks. There's a main
What, for free,
display.
you mean?
Yep. I don't go to the main bit. That's free, where they have food stalls and music and a DJ. I go to...
You go to a secret spot to enjoy the fireworks that other people pay for free. Is that right?
No, they don't pay either. It's just that I don't want to be in a big crowd.
Oh, okay, with people. Yeah, I know people. Ugh, I've met people. Not that keen.
Who said hell is other people?
Yeah.
But this Sunday I met a friend in the gym, so we decided to make an evening of it. And
You met a friend in the gym? What, you went... Now, did you say... Do you mean by that you met someone in the gym who then became a friend?
Yes, I've known people...
Well, that's just flat out weird, Sophie. What kind of a person goes to the gym and speaks to other people?
I've been to this gym for about 9 years, Nick.
I've been going to the gym, not with any great results, by the way. I ain't no Arnold Schwarzenegger. That is absolutely true. Ain't it?
Affirmative.
Yeah, that took a long while to find.
Well, actually...
But I've never spoken to anybody in any gym that I've ever been in, ever.
Oh, no, I always speak to everyone in the gym.
What do you have to say? What could you possibly have to say in a gym?
We right the wrongs of the world. No, actually, if you get to know people, some people...
Is it just me?
Nice.
Maybe it's just me. I bet my glamorous assistant wants to... do you go to the gym? My glamorous assistant?
I do.
And do you ever speak to people in there?
Quite a lot.
Oh, God. Well, it's just me then. I've never spoken to anybody in the gym in my life other than to say, are you going to be on that machine long? Because some people just... It's like they set up camp on a machine. It irritates the hell out of me when people sit there and just scroll through their phones. It'll be the only the type of machine that they've got in the whole place, and they just sit there like they've rented the thing for the day.
Well, actually, I came across a very rude man this week. I do these stomach pull-ups where you're suspended in air and you hold on to a handle on either side, and then you just pull your legs up, and I do about 100.
I don't know. This sounds like the sort of thing that you should be telling Lucy Beresford, not me.
And he kept on asking me when I'd finished because I was taking a little bit of a long time.
Right.
But other than that, everyone's lovely. But actually, talking about the gym and weight, I did come home with a trifle that said on the packet it serves 4.
A trifle?
And,
Where is this? What on earth has any of this got to do with what we're talking about? Absolutely nothing at all. So it fits. No, it's okay. It fits right in. We'll go anywhere on this show. Trifle we're at now.
So what did I start with? Trump.
Trump to trifle. Well, they've both got a blonde top.
No, but what I was thinking, I had an epiphany today.
What now? See, like I said, you should be telling this to Lucy Beresford. Is she still in the building? There's a woman who wants to talk about epiphanies now.
Epiphany, and I have never, ever, ever worked out the appeal of Trump. He's a megalomaniac and a lunatic.
And an arch narcissist, and he doesn't seem to know anything.
Exactly.
Just listen to his explanation to anything, and it includes no detail of any kind whatsoever, because he has absolutely refused to learn anything. He seems to be he seems to be completely unable to learn the job that he's supposed to be doing. Ask him about healthcare, and he says that it's going to be huge and tremendous. And ask him about the defence of the nation, and it's going to be big and huge, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. His answer to everything is always the same. It's going to be big and huge and tremendous.
I think he has a complex about something, but it's a family show, so I won't go into that. But Boris Johnson, Actually, I actually like him, and I think the appeal of him
No.
and
I think
and
Boris Johnson
Trump
is
in a-
our Donald Trump.
He is exactly that, because they are like the everyman.
No, they're not.
they
No,
met-
they're not. What? The everyman? Donald Trump, neither
No.
Donald Trump nor Boris de Pfeffel are the everyman of anywhere.
No, in the sense that they mess up, and human beings mess up. And, I've tried so hard to understand the appeal, and that's the only thing I can come up with. Now, we do not have the power, like Trump, to start the Third World War. That's the worrying thing. When we mess up, we reflect and then we move on. But when he messes up, we could be nuked.
That's actually true. There was a military official, or an ex-military man, that was being interviewed on an American news program, and the question was put to him: what will happen if Donald Trump just decides to start World War III without discussing it with anybody? He just demands that nuclear football and presses the big green button marked. And he was asked, is there anything that anybody can do about it? And the answer is no. He could just think it up and do it.
In 2 weeks' time, it will be, I think it's the 54th anniversary of the Kennedy assassination. And I do often wonder...
Don't say it, Sophie. The FBI and the CIA are listening to this, and if you say anything untoward, then men in black jumpsuits will be bursting through this window and spraying gunfire from left to right. Don't say anything.
No, I was going to say, if he hadn't been assassinated and his son hadn't died in the plane crash in, I think it was 2009, how different the world would have been. I think he had hopes to throw his hat into the ring for the presidency, and he was campaigning to be senator for New York, and that has a little bit of a murky story to it, which I won't repeat on the... But it's
I can't imagine that... I can't imagine... Well... It's either going to go one of two ways. Either Donald Trump will be out on his ear and possibly in jail unless he finds some way to pardon himself within, let's say, 6 months, or he'll be a two-term president, and that will be proof that there is no God. It would be one of two things will happen. But anyway, back to the trifle.
The trifle, there's considerably less in the pot than there was when I walked into my home.
Right. So you've eaten a 4-person trifle all in one go, and you justified that by thinking, well, I've just been to the gym. Is that right?
I've been feeling emotional this week, Nick. It's a woman thing.
Yeah, okay. All right. And you know what? That segues perfectly into what I'm about to talk about. But thanks for setting me up, Sophie. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. And the next thing I'll talk about is this new information that has been released that says that we, in this country, are number one in Europe. And I'll tell you what we're number one at when I come back.
Who do you think you're talking to?
Okay, well, I'll get to the thing that we're number one at in a minute, but that nice lady that I was just talking to, she did mention Boris Johnson, bozo of the FO. And he's been called a clown unfit to represent Britain. And he was called that by delegates from Spain. What? This is not just some caller on this show. Boris Johnson was called a clown unfit to represent Britain after he launched a defence of bullfighting during a meeting with Spanish delegates. Oh, no. He was trying to ingratiate himself with Spanish people, and he thought, well, what do Spanish people do? And he thought, oh, yeah, I know, they do bullfighting, so I'll tell them how much I love bullfighting. He might as well put a sombrero on and tell them how much he likes a siesta. The Foreign Secretary was attending a dinner in Bath, which was, he shouldn't be running the Foreign Office. He shouldn't be running a bath. But anyway, that's where he was, celebrating the ties between the two European nations. Why? What? What's that about? He was in Bath celebrating the ties between us and Spain. What for? Anyway. They're using your money, by the way, almost certainly. That's where your money goes, just in case you were curious. So there he was, in Bath, enjoying himself, celebrating ties between Spain and us. And he claimed that banning bullfighting would be a sign of political correctness gone mad. Does he actually speak like that? I thought that was the sort of phrase you only read in the comment section of the Daily Mail. Political correctness gone mad. I'd ask for that Eton education money back if I were you, Boris. Many in attendance grew angry. A large chunk of the Spanish delegates said that they were opposed to bullfighting. Just because they're Spanish doesn't mean to say they sit around eating paella all day. One person said Bozo of the FO lectured the Spanish in attendance as he told them to keep supporting bullfighting. Oh, no. Oh, my God. He's our chief diplomat. Can you believe it?
No.
He told them to keep supporting the sport. That's what he referred to it as. Not really a sport, more like ritualised torture is what it looks like to me. Not so much a sport. Not really, no. One person there said he antagonised every single Spaniard in the room. They fumed for the rest of the dinner, he said. Bullfighting is the subject of a lively debate in Spain, and some parts of Spain have banned it. But, that was probably part of the briefing that Bozo of the FO didn't read. One of the people there said the Spanish don't like people painting a caricature of their country as bullfighting, flamenco and paella. I don't know what the big deal about paella is. I just don't get it. It's just a plate of yellowish rice with bits in it. It doesn't actually taste that nice. I went to a place called Valencia, which is well worth a detour. It's lovely. And it's supposed to be a hot centre of paella making. I can't say paella. Paella making. And so I went down to a place that is supposed to have... it's supposed to be fantastic. And it was just a plate of sort of a bit dry, a bit yellowish rice with bits in it. Never order paella after lunch. Because they make it at lunch and then it just sits there because nobody orders it after lunch who is Spanish. I believe that is true.
Correct.
Yeah. This show's educational, isn't it? A little bit. Every now and again, a small fact manages to escape. It squirts out like that. A Spanish guest labelled the former London mayor a clown. Yeah, we know that. Tell us something we don't know. He said he's not fit to represent your country. A clown. Yeah, I'm sure I saw a picture of Boris Johnson in full face paint with a tear running down his cheek on sale in Boots once. Boots used to sell pictures, didn't they? It was always a picture of a clown with a tear running down its cheek. Or a picture of dogs playing poker. Anyway, the Foreign Office said... They said the Foreign Secretary was expressing a personal view that he respects this Spanish tradition. However, he does not personally support bullfighting, and he is proud the UK upholds the highest in animal welfare standards, including the ban on bullfighting in the UK. What? When have we ever had bullfighting in the UK? You don't have to ban something that we don't do. That sounds like they've just been backed into a corner and they're trying to cover all the bases. First of all, the Foreign Secretary is expressing a personal view. Well, in a room full of diplomats, the Foreign Secretary is not supposed to be expressing a personal view. He's supposed to be expressing the view of Her Majesty's government. That's his job. Second, to say that he does not personally support bullfighting is just a flat-out lie. Either they're lying or he is. When he said that he told them to keep supporting the sport and launched a defence of bullfighting and said that banning it would be political correctness gone mad. Sounds like he supports it to me. And that, and then of course, the UK upholds the highest animal welfare standards, as though that was in question. Yeah, we kill what is it, about 1 billion animals a year for our dinner, but at least we don't torture them first before we do it. Not much, anyway. A little bit, not much. Little light torturing every now and again, just for our amusement. Not that anybody much cares about that, because if they did, we'd all buy organic. And do we buy organic? No, we do not. Here are some of the gaffes or examples of fat-headed stupidity, you choose, that Boris Johnson has exhibited relatively recently. When Theresa May appointed him as our chief diplomat, I thought that it was a joke. I thought she was kidding. I really did. I thought either this is just a gaffe, like a gag rather, on her part, or she's punishing him because he is so obviously unsuited to the task. And, he would always be on, I would assume being the head of the Foreign Office, he'd always be on a red-eye flight to somewhere with boxes full of information that he has to learn in order not to upset people when he gets to wherever he's going. But neither of those two things appears to be the case. Apparently, she put her trust in him to be our chief representative abroad. I've run out of time. I can't give you a list of his gaffes. Not in this half-hour section, anyway. Maybe in the next half hour. I'll do it in the next half hour. Isn't it exciting?
Yes.
And when I come back, I can't promise that it'll be a full list of his gaffes because, I did try to look up some of them, but there's only so much room on the internet. And if you add his so-called gaffes to Prince... the Chukwuembra's gaffes, and there's not enough ink in the world to print them all out. I think they're both just rude old men who have never been corrected, unless I'm getting any of this wrong, in which case you must correct me. So here are some of the gaffes and examples of fat-headed stupidity that Bozo of the FO has exhibited relatively recently. And I'll come to the thing that we're number one at in a minute. Boris Johnson was in Myanmar in a temple this January reciting a poem by the arch-colonialist... you try that. Arch-colonialist. That is hard. I bet my glamorous assistant can't say that.
Arch-colonialist.
Well, okay. Aren't you clever? Anyway, he was reciting a poem by the arch-colonialist Rudyard Kipling. You've probably seen the video of that. The UK ambassador, who looked like he was about 8 feet tall, he was just standing right next to him, and he said, not a good idea. He managed to stop him before he got to the line, "Bloomin' idol made of mud, what they called the Great Gourd Bud," which is a reference to the Buddha. Big mistake, huge. In 2004, he claimed that drunken fans were partly responsible for the Hillsborough tragedy. He was forced to apologise to the people of Papua New Guinea after writing in 2006 in The Telegraph, "For 10 years, we in the Tory party have become used to Papua New Guinea-style orgies of cannibalism and chief killing." During a visit to Japan in 2015, he was invited to join in a children's game of street rugby. That's when he was the mayor of London, and you'll remember he flattened a 10-year-old schoolboy as he raced down the pitch in Tokyo, because he would not be beat, not even by a 10-year-old schoolboy. In May last year, he told The Telegraph that while Brussels bureaucrats are using different methods to Hitler, they both aim to create a European superstate with Germany at its heart. What's offensive about that? In 2002, Johnson wrote about the then Prime Minister Tony Blair's trip to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Queen, he said, loved the Commonwealth, partly because it supplies her with regular cheering crowds of... I don't even know if I can say this. I don't even know if I can say this. Lucy Beresford could have said it, because she can say anything, apparently. It's absolutely anything at all. Is she still in the building? He said, I'm just saying this is a quote. This is nothing that I would say. This is what Boris Johnson said. In 2002, Boris Johnson wrote about the then Prime Minister Tony Blair. You remember Tony Blair, don't you?
No!
Yeah, that's the fella. About his trip to the Democratic Republic of Congo, he said the Queen loved the Commonwealth partly because it supplies her with regular cheering crowds of flag-waving pickaninnies. At a Conservative Party conference fringe event, Boris Johnson thought it was appropriate to declare that the Libyan city of Sirte could be the new Dubai He said all they have to do is clear the dead bodies away. More than 5,000 people have died there since 2014, and 500,000 are homeless. But, apart from that, an excellent tourist destination. When the U.S. president, not the current U.S. president, the old U.S. president, Barack Obama, when he commented on the EU referendum debate, Boris Johnson responded by referring to Obama's part Kenyan ancestry, which he suggested was the reason that he removed a bust of Winston Churchill from the Oval Office. And Barack Obama, without mentioning Boris Johnson by name, pointed out that he had merely moved the Churchill bust and said that he thought a bust of civil rights activist Martin Luther King was more appropriate in the Oval Office. Of course it is. What's Churchill's bust doing there? But at least he hasn't said anything to upset the current thin-skinned resident of the White House.
I think Donald Trump is clearly out of his mind.
Well, once again, I stand corrected. He's our chief diplomat. I am stunned. Apparently he's unsackable, which I just don't understand. It's that part is mystifying to me. I mean, I know that she's clinging on by her artfully painted fingernails, but why don't they just get rid of him? I mean, what's he going to do? Refuse to go? Oh, yeah, well, I suppose that he might actually do just that. But you can't refuse to go. What's he going to do? Pitch a tent in the hallway? If he's invited to leave by the most powerful person in the country, he's got to go. Just sack him, Mrs. M. Annie in Carnforth.
It's me again, Nick. I think she can't sack him, actually, because she's so weak, and I think she's actually scared of him being on the back benches, causing even more trouble for her, which I'm sure he would, and he's still got designs on being PM.
Oh, that's just not going to happen. Well, you know what? I said that I didn't think that the Orange Nightmare in the White House would happen.
You are going to love President Trump.
But guess what? It did. So
it did, and apparently with the Tory party members, a lot of them really like him. Amazingly. Well,
no, but they like him, I would imagine, because he is an amusement. They like him because he's got charisma. He can light up a room. When he gets up on stage and starts to speak, the whole room is paying attention. And there aren't many politicians that have got that. But maybe he shouldn't be in politics. Maybe he should be in the entertainment business.
Yes, well, I think that's the best place for him, or certainly not doing the job he's doing now.
Well, I think he's got feet in both camps. He's got his big fat feet in both camps, isn't he? He's partly entertainment, and he sort of dabbles in politics, but he doesn't seem to try that hard.
No, he's just completely incompetent, and people are always saying, "Oh, he's so bright, he's got a brain inside the planet." No, he isn't.
No, I think that they say that because he perpetually thrusts his classical education down our throats. All of that those arcane references to Greek gods, and it comes out with Latin phrases, and okay, we know you went to Eton. Stop telling us about it.
Yeah, some people are impressed by that sort of thing, but I mean, you just know really that he is just completely. It's like he's had a lobotomy in the sort of common sense and empathy and I don't know, tact. I mean, he absolutely has no tact or sensitivity whatsoever.
Well, no, which is amazing. I mean, even his fans would say that he lacks tact and sensitivity, which are the two prime qualities that you want of your prime diplomat. I mean,
exactly.
That's the requirement for the job.
Yes, he's the most unsuitable person anybody could have ever put it. I mean, even other politicians throughout Europe were laughing, weren't they, when he actually first was made?
Well, I was laughing. I didn't believe it when I first heard it. I thought that it was a joke. It's almost like what Donald Trump is doing with his appointments in America. He wants somebody who has got no background in science to be head of NASA.
Well, Donald Trump, I think, just likes to put everybody who is completely in opposition to anything that any department is doing, isn't he?
I think he just wants to sow chaos and to drop. It's like he's charging along in his limousine and throwing little chaos bombs out the window in order to distract from his chronic inability to do the job. and the press will go and harry after, like literally the Agriculture and Fisheries Board in America, whatever that's called. He wanted a man who, of course, took himself out of the running because he was under investigation for ties to Russia, naturally. But he had no science background at all. And that job is specifically about science. It's about protecting the environment. It's about the future of the food security and all that stuff. You need, and he would be heading a department of thousands of people, all of whom are scientists, and he wants the head of the department who's going to make decisions about where the research budget goes and which things that the scientists are going to look at. He wanted the head to have no scientific knowledge at all. I mean, it's like putting me in charge.
Yeah, well, I think that's because he wants people to be in charge that are only interested in money, basically, who aren't interested in the science. So it's like the climate change, putting somebody in charge of the, I've forgotten what their environmental agency is called, or, there's a climate change denier.
Well, that has sued the very agency that is now running. Yeah, amazing.
It's just so they can sabotage, and they can actually run those departments
into the ground
in favour of the people with money.
Yeah, well, in favour of the oil companies and the coal companies, clean coal, all that nonsense.
It's a nightmare. I mean, just think we could have ended up with Boris, couldn't we?
Well, yeah. Boris
if it hadn't been for Michael Gove. I mean, thank God for Michael Gove.
I know, that's probably that's the first time anybody has ever said that, Annie.
No, well, I certainly never thought I'd say it, but, it really could have been him.
It could have been Boris Johnson running this country and Donald Trump running the United States of America. What could possibly have gone wrong?
Yeah, dear. Oh, dear. I think we'd all had to emigrated to Mars or something.
And what's his position on the EU now? Because first he was for it, and then when he thought it would be politically expedient to change his mind, and now he's full on against it, and we must leave that absolutely. Has he changed his mind again? I don't know, so as anybody knows. Does he even actually have an opinion on anything, or does he just say whatever crosses his mind, just like Donald Trump, to gain the approval of the audience that he is addressing?
Well, I think originally he wrote those two pieces, didn't he, of pro and against. And I think he's like Donald Trump. He'll say anything to make himself popular. Whatever he thinks is the thing that the most people will like, he'll go for that.
I think so.
I think they're really alike, and it would be a total nightmare if he.
But it would be amusing. Imagine how boring it would be if Hillary Clinton had won the presidency.
Boring.
We would have almost nothing to talk about as far as that goes. We'd be concentrating almost exclusively on the EU, and now we've got sex scandals to chew over. But we would have been talking about America not at all, because it would have just been continue. It would just continue. It would have been run smoothly.
Oh, but we might have been able to sleep slightly soundly.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, exactly right. We wouldn't have been so worried about World War III. Yeah, there is that. Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Annie. I will come to the thing that we're number one in Europe at. New figures just released. We're number one. How great is that? Well, hold fire. I'll tell you in a minute. But there is a potential bump in the road. There's a bump in the road for Theresa May.
Oh no!
And it's her own backbenchers that are going to cause it, and it's about the EU. That is just the thing that keeps on giving. It's the issue that keeps on giving. We may be talking about the EU from now until the end of time. She's got a couple of weeks. People are talking about her being chucked out, essentially, being invited to leave by her own backbenchers within 2 weeks. And there's a big thing that's about to happen that could exacerbate that problem that she's facing. And I'll come to that in just a minute as well.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
A couple of text, tweets and emails and such. This says, Nick, talking of fireworks, which we were some moments ago, why is it every night, it seems from October through till New Year, it's fireworks night? My animals hate it, says that caller. Well, I thought that there was a rule that you or retailers could only sell fireworks within a limited time frame. Of course, there's no law about buying them and then storing them to use at your leisure. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. They just go on and on and on. I don't know why people buy their own fireworks. What is the point of that? They always look rubbish. You might as well just set fire to your money. Take a fiver and set fire to it, and then run around the garden looking at the burning embers. It'd be far better spending money on an actual real-life fireworks display. Unless you went to the one that I did and had the experience that I had, which, and don't ask me to go through that again. That was on yesterday's show. I didn't actually tell you the worst part, which was trying to get home afterwards. Because all of the trains had been cancelled because, I don't know, points failure, or there was the wrong kind of moisture in the air, or, you know. And so they replaced all the buses for thousands and thousands and thousands of people that were all streaming out of this thing at the same time, because there was no other amusements. I got there to this place of amusement, and there was no beer. How can you watch fireworks with no beer, for crying out loud? But anyway, you came out because there was, once the fireworks had ended, once the highly disappointing fireworks had ended, everybody wanted to leave at the same time because there was nothing to do. And there were no trains taking us from this place, which was, you know, it was kind of desolate, and there was nothing really there to amuse anybody. And so everybody wanted to leave at the same time, and there were no trains. And so they'd replace the trains with buses. And there was a mad scramble to get on this replacement bus, which fortunately I didn't manage to get on the first one, because it was absolutely packed to the rafters. And you know what the buses, when they get really, really, really packed, are like. The windows steam up, and you're just stuck in basically a glass box of germs. And it pulled out into traffic, which of course was a nightmare. And it just stood there. For, I don't know, it's probably still standing there now in traffic. I went to a pub. That was the best part of the evening. But as I say, don't get me to go through that story again. I can't stand it. Sean says, do you think that Trump will be impeached? I hope so. Trump and Boris are so alike, with a big head and fluffy blonde hair. Don't you find it a little suspicious that Donald Trump is blonde? I mean, what is he, 150 years old? He's about 150 years old, and he's got blonde hair. Not white, which is what your hair does go when it loses its colour and you get ancient and old. But blonde, specifically blonde, like California surfer dude blonde. I think he paints his hair with the same stuff that he paints his teeth with. And Ivan says, I think that May is punishing Boris by putting him in a position that would be dealing with Brexit. Yeah, well, you know what? That's about to come back and bite Mrs M on the bottom. Because Tory and Labour MPs, Tory and Labour, this is an across the aisles thing. They have warned Theresa May faces a Commons defeat over Brexit within weeks. Time's running out, Mrs M. That is if she continues to deny Parliament a meaningful vote on the final deal with the EU. And the withdrawal bill is returning to the Commons on Tuesday. Isn't it exciting?
No.
There's a cross-party group who oppose a hard Brexit. And they say that they believe that they've got the numbers to defeat the government if they're denied such a vote. And the government says, essentially, we're not going to give you such a vote. So it's all falling down around your ears. How is that snap election working out for you, Mrs M?
Oh, fabulous.
Brexiteers talk about Labour being in chaos, but it seems that there's chaos and discord everywhere you look. This ain't Margaret Thatcher's time anymore. Where there is discord, may I bring harmony. That ship sailed. Some Tories, say The Guardian, are even more determined to insist on Parliament's right to veto a bad or no deal than Labour, because the Prime Minister does not appear to have responded to any of their pleadings. She's ignored them. She can't be enjoying it. I mean, you wouldn't think that what she's going through is enjoyable. I think you'd have to be off your chump to want to run a country, any country, really. but particularly this country right now, going through the most torturous and complicated procedure that we've probably ever had to go through, with everybody shouting at you all the time. So she announced last week that the government had tabled its own amendment that would commit the UK to formally leaving the EU on the 29th of March 2019, whatever the outcome of the negotiations, even if there is no deal. And that doesn't sound like the return of sovereignty to Parliament to me, which I thought, I thought that's what this was all about. Unless it was just all about having fewer foreigners coming over here. Yeah, I suspect that's exactly what it was. All that guff about returning sovereignty to Parliament. As soon as Parliament raises a finger of a question, then the usual suspects start screaming about, oh, they're trying to thwart Brexit. Yes. So she could get defeated over Brexit within 2 weeks, which means that she might not last till Christmas. What with the loss of 2 cabinet ministers in 6 days, and maybe more than that due to the various eye-watering shenanigans that we're hearing about on a daily basis.
Disgusting.
Exactly. So have good cheer, Mrs. M, because you could be yomping across a Swiss mountain, yodeling in cow pastures in time for the new year. How does that sound? So this is not Labour who are trying to thwart Brexit. This is a cross-party group. It includes around a dozen Tory backbenchers and former Conservative ministers. We're talking about big cheeses here. And they've calculated that if the expected number of pro-Brexit Labour MPs back the government, the people who are against the government, who want an actual real-life proper vote on it, they're just going to need 11 Conservative MPs to vote with them to inflict a defeat on the government. And beyond that, I don't think she can survive. And then what will happen? I don't think they can just install another candidate to run the country. I think we've got to go for another, yes, I'm going to say it, another general election. Oh, no. Oh. And this time it's going to be in cold weather, so people will have an actual excuse not to leave and go to vote. So this cross-party group includes about a dozen Tory backbenchers, former Conservative ministers, and they think that they'll need about 11 Conservative MPs to vote with them to inflict a defeat. And they said that we have already got pretty close to that number already, and there could be more. It's not looking good. And the EU are looking at us going, what the hell is going on over there? Who do we talk to anymore? It's wow, it's the stuff that goes on. It's but pretty soon they'll all be on their Christmas holidays, which I think will last. I think they're about a month. Don't they get a month off over Christmas?
Fabulous.
It's not like we're in a period of a great crisis or anything. So don't concern yourselves to work too hard. So 4 of the major security agencies in America say that Russia had something to do with the American election, and Donald Trump believes Vladimir Putin over them and calls his own intelligence agencies political hacks. I'm just stunned, aren't you? The Director of National Intelligence and the Central Intelligence Agency and the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the National Security Agency all say that Russia had something to do with it. And Donald Trump asked Vladimir Putin if he is guilty in any way, shape or form, and Vladimir Putin says, well, to me, I did nothing. And Donald Trump said, oh yeah, okay then, sure, right enough. There you are. Because, he's a smart person.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Yeah, you're not even like a smart person. 0345 6060 973. I say lock him up. Who's with me? Somebody wants to build a great big wall around Donald Trump. Let's have a call in Lewisham. Hello, Jane.
Hello, Nick.
Jane.
Let's talk about Brexit, right?
Yes.
Well, it's been suggested to me by my Eurolines colleagues.
By your what?
Not by my Eurolines colleagues.
What's that?
My colleagues.
In
Right.
Eurolines colleagues?
Yes.
What's that?
My colleagues in Brussels.
What's a Euroline?
I'm a coach driver, and my Eurolines colleagues.
Oh, Eurolines is the name of a coach company.
Yes.
Oh, right. No, that makes sense.
So in Brussels, we was all talking, and that's it. They suggest that every country should pull out of that European Parliament. They call it that building down the road, that building that they should take down. And you know what? They say they should build on it English semi-detached houses.
In Brussels?
That's what my Eurolines colleagues say. They're fed up with that building down the road. They say it causes more trouble than enough, and it's a complete waste of money. And
they want to build British houses on it?
They want to take the building down and build English semi-detached houses on the land.
For English people?
No, for European people.
Well, why do they want to build English semi-detached houses?
Because they like them.
Wouldn't a detached house be nicer? Then you don't hear the neighbours coughing in the morning when they're waking up. You don't wake up to their alarm clock, and you don't hear them running up and down the stairs and slamming the doors, and you don't hear their TV. Detached, much nicer.
Oh, yeah, but we've got to be a bit thrifty.
Oh, thrifty,
So
right, I see.
So we're not having...
So we're going to pull
English
down a
houses.
building that cost hundreds of millions of pounds in a place of a high land value and put semi-detached houses on it to be thrifty.
Yes.
Right. Well, you're making a lot of sense, Jane.
No, the building, the European Parliament is just, they say, is just a nuisance.
But and these people are coach drivers.
No, passengers.
Oh, passengers. They're passengers, right? So, but they're passengers going to Brussels on holiday.
For work.
Probably not work. Probably not work. Not on a coach.
Going backwards and forwards.
On a coach.
Brussels.
I don't think any work. Well, what kind of work are they doing?
All different types of work.
Well, like what? I mean, you spoke to these people. You must ask them what they do. What do they do?
Building work.
Building work. So, so builders say that the best thing for us to do is to give them more building work. Gosh, who would have thunk it? I'm not sure that you should actually be taking the word of these people at all, Jane. Check your source.
The European Parliament. Every country
that you know
piles their money in.
Yeah.
Piles their money in there, right? And then lots and lots of money for every country.
Yeah.
And then it gets, for somehow or other, every country gets in debt. It's just a mess. It's just a complete mess. They have loads and loads of money, and then the people give their money to them.
Yeah.
And then they get their country in debt. We've
Right.
just got to have a completely different system.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Completely.
Well, as soon as you work something out, then I want you to let me know straight away.
have.
All right. Oh, you have? Oh, good.
Yes. We just don't have the European Parliament.
Right.
Everybody pulls out,
Yeah.
right? The 28 countries all pull out, and they all manage themselves.
Right.
And they don't have to put their money into that European Parliament. And then we sort out the refugee crisis, then we sort out Africa, then we sort out Syria, and we do something. That European Parliament, all it does is waste everybody's money.
In what way do they do? I mean, I could dangle you on a string and ask you to explain yourself, but what's the point? I appreciate your input, Jane, and I'll take that under advisement. How does that sound?
Well, I'm dreaming.
Not completely satisfied? I expect not. No, it could happen, yeah. All right, well, anything is possible. We know that that's true. Anything up to and including a clown has become the President of the United States of America. Or a clown is our top foreign diplomat. Anything is possible. All right, thanks a lot, Jane. Chuka Umunna, he's the Labour co-chair of the cross-party group on EU relations. He said that he believed enough Tory MPs would stand firm to give the government a kicking. It's all coming to a head. He said they won't be bullied by a Prime Minister who dances to the tune of the hard right. No more dancing to the tune of the hard right, mentioning no names.
I'm a nutcase.
And Keir Starmer, he's the fellow with the haircut. Oh, his hair is fantastic. How does he get it to look like that? He said, he's the shadow Brexit secretary. He said that the government could be heading for defeat on up to 13 amendments tabled not by Labour, but by the Tories. And what was the government's response? They continued to dig their heels in and offer no concessions, which seems to be their method of negotiating with the EU. We offer nothing. They offered no concessions and now face criticism from MPs, not just in Labour, but from their own ranks as well. They're going to debate it for 16 hours. They certainly are going to earn their money that day, eh? 16 hours of debate on the EU. Boring! It would be a little bit dull, yeah. Which sounds to me, I don't know about you, but it sounds to me like they're trying to thwart Brexit. I've never heard the word thwart as much in my life. But that's what we voted for them to do, isn't it? That's why we voted for our elected representatives to represent us, to express their opinion about what would be best for the country. You don't elect a parliamentarian and then tell them what to do with every tiny little thing that comes across their desk. You elect a parliamentarian and then you trust them to do the right thing. Because, we have done extensive background research before we put a cross next to their name. Now we just put a cross next to their name because they are representing the political party that we've always voted for, or they've got a funny moniker, one of the two. Or they are the least worst. But, that's the system that we voted for. I thought that's why the country voted to leave the EU, in order to return sovereignty to Parliament. Not to have the country run like a dictatorship. But maybe I'm getting that wrong. And one of the Labour's demands, and the Tory rebels as well, is that Parliament, and not ministers, have the final say on whether to approve the withdrawal agreement. Whether it would be best to implement it or not. Do we like the deal? But, maybe I'm just alone on... well, I know I ain't alone, because that's what's happening to the government. And it's happening this week. It's all coming to a head. Here's a call in Camden. Oh, Mohammed.
Good evening, Nick. Hello.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good, mate.
I'm a first-time caller to your show, a huge fan of yours.
Thanks.
I'm usually out on Friday, Saturday nights, but this time I came back quite early, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to make the call because you are the reason why I downloaded my podcast. I think you are the voice of reason, and I really wanted to share some of the what's going on in the city. I work in the corporate legal finance sector.
The Corporate Legal Finance Centre. Yes.
And I also teach literature in the weekends. And when Brexit
you have a full schedule. Who do you teach literature to?
So GCSE and AS A-level students.
And you do that in your spare time?
Yeah, I've got a passion for literature and helping those, just helping students out. It's a big part of...
Oh, so you're a private...
tutor.
Tutor,
yeah.
Right.
But I don't charge extortionate rates because I try to target students who can't really afford private tuition. So I give like discounted rates and stuff. And I do
Holy
that specifically.
moly! I don't know how to react to you, Mohammed, because on the one hand you work for the evil finance racket, but on the other hand you're doing social work.
Thank you. And I've also won a scholarship thanks to an LBC 2 years ago when I spoke to James O'Brien, and he spoke very highly of me, and I was put on your website, and I got a scholarship to study counter-terrorism, which I'm also doing in the evening. So I'm busy at the moment, but it's good. I like diverse. Exactly right. The Muslims doing counter-terrorism, the British Muslims who we often scapegoat, is trying to do his best to see what he can do to help protect society. Help
So you've got
students.
three.
Yeah.
Holy smoke! I do 6 hours work a week. You do even more work than me.
Yeah, no, tomorrow's going to be my first day off in 21 days, so I'm really excited about that. Going to go swimming, gym, etc.
So doesn't sound like a day off to me. That sounds like work. Swimming in the gym, that's not a day off. You want to put your feet up, smoke a cigar, mate.
I do that at 7 a.m. as well. So
Right.
I try to compress all my gym and my swim before work, and it works. It's really disciplined me. And my master's is going to finish in about 6 months now, so it's not too long away.
So this is
but
a
really
second degree. You're doing a master's.
I am, yes. Actually, it's my third, because I did the law conversion. I read politics, and then I did the conversion in law, and then I started consulting, became a lawyer.
I
and
don't
then
think that
moved
one. Well, I honestly don't think that one person has enough time for all this. I suspect, Mohammed, that you are two people.
I wish. I'm not going to lie, it's tough, but you develop a resilience, and it shows how much a human being can accomplish, and that's why.
Well, I suppose so. If you get up really, really early, what time do you go to the gym?
So gym opens at 7. I finish everything by 7:30. Leave by 8:15, and get to the office for 9.
Maybe
so
you
it's
did.
a disciplined.
That's just insane. At which point do you eat your breakfast and have your happy morning sit down?
Well, I have my Weetabix or my porridge oats on the desk.
Oh, that's bad. You shouldn't eat at the desk.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Whilst I'm looking at the new issues of the day, new cases,
Right.
love my job in the corporate sector. I have one of the most amazing teams. But listen,
But just before we get to that part,
go on.
But I was talking about the gym earlier on, and so some nice caller was telling me how much she likes to chit-chat with other people in the gym, and that just came as I just couldn't get my head around that. Because I've never talked to anybody in the gym ever. Do you talk to people in the gym?
I can't. No time.
No,
I'm in and out.
Exactly.
I'm in and out. I have to be very disciplined about that. But you know what? Everyone, each to their own. If it works for her and it means she's doing some workout, good on her. Do you know what I mean?
I suppose so. I just don't. I just don't agree with. Well, it's not that I don't agree with it. I just can't imagine why anybody would talk to anybody else in the gym. But maybe that's just me.
Do you know, I read on the Men's Health magazine, the reason why us guys don't go gym or don't like the gym is because we get bored and we should try to do more sports. So I try to do racket sport, but because I started tutoring, I can't hit the 10 a.m. badminton club no more on Saturdays. So that's fine. It is what it is for now. But I agree with that. I think the gym is quite boring. That's why it works for me. 15 to 20 minutes, in, out, done.
Yes, because you see some guys who go in there who have obviously been in there for a good long time, but by the time you get there, and by the time you leave, like 15 minutes, an hour later, they're still in there. And you just know that they're in there all day long. Some people become absolutely obsessed with it.
They are, and do you know what? That's why when people say to me, those guys are so lucky when they've got six-pack muscles. The thing is, you can't do that with a full-time job. You can't. You have to be on benefits and just be going to the gym all the time. Excuse my language.
Yeah,
right?
maybe that's it. Yeah, maybe that's it.
You know,
Maybe
they've got their £70 a week. They go for their beers Friday night and just go gym every day.
Yeah, well, I do wonder how they have the time, because there are some people that are there. No matter what time of the day you go, they're always there. And I'm thinking, what do you do for a living? Maybe that's it. They don't do nothing. But anyway, to your point.
Yeah. So just a few points. So it was heartbreaking when Brexit happened. I feel like slapping people like Jacob Rees-Mogg when he tries to say that, when he keeps, with this rhetoric of...
Well, that's just him. That's just his face. I mean, people must... I don't recommend that you do this, but I can understand the feeling that people would want to slap Jacob Rees-Mogg. That's just the way he looks.
But it's just him, as well as so many other Brexit chavs, as I call them, excuse my language. But when they keep saying how this is Great Britain, we can make do without anyone, we can do it by ourselves, what they seem to fail to realise is there's nothing wrong with being patriotic about your country, but please identify the fact that our economy is linked to the global market, okay? We are not a manufacturing nation as we once were. We import more than we export. It's important to keep good relations. It's important to keep free trade in order to supplement our economy.
And as you know, what we export tends to be a financial product, which can be moved across borders in one day. They can close their laptops, get up, leave, and reopen business in Frankfurt the same day.
Nick, spot on. And check this out for Pride. So many British firms are now choosing EUs to go into the EU. So I'm thinking, all those Brexiteer chaps who said, we'll select who comes here. Excuse me, nurses are choosing not to come here now. This arrogance that we had, that when we control our borders, we'll tell people, oh, if we want you, we'll invite you in. What they've forgotten is that the psychology of it has reversed. People are now saying, hold on, if this is your mentality, I no longer want to be here. And I'll give you a quick anecdote. I worked in my last firm. I had some wonderful French, German, Italian lawyers that were working with me. The day of the Brexit, I was embarrassed. The day of the Brexit, I went into the office, and do you know what they said? Do you know what they were saying? And it's heartbreaking because I've always...
Was it in Italian, French and German? Because I wouldn't have any idea what they were saying.
Nigel would, because he's very multilingual, isn't he, having lived in Belgium for however many years. Yeah. But they said this. They said, why would they do this? The English have common sense. And that was really heartbreaking for me. Because I'll tell you something, the educated Muslim...
I hope you put them straight. I hope you put them straight that there is no such thing as common sense. There's nothing common about it.
Oh, tell me about it. Listen, Nick, I've always said this. The reason why educated Muslims and Indians and Pakistanis have chosen the UK from France and all the other European companies, because we saw the UK as a forward-thinking nation.
Really? I thought it was the food.
There is that too. You can't beat some bangers and mash, you know.
I beg to differ. Here, Mohammed, I'm going to have to go, but thanks for that. That was entertaining. So there were a couple of stories in the Daily Mail about the EU and about the... I don't know, I'm getting the sense that it's all beginning to fall apart. This whole leaving the EU thing, there's the idea, the notion that it might not actually happen. And this is being written about, it's being proposed by newspapers that wouldn't ordinarily believe this, but they're not dismissing it out of hand. In a controversial assessment that will anger Downing Street, says the Daily Mail, 5 senior economists said Brussels should prepare for Britain to remain a member of the bloc until the end of 2020. They said that is an assessment that will anger Downing Street. Anger Downing Street? You can see the boiling rage of Brexiteer ultras from space. They said, till 2020. These 5 senior economists, they form the so-called Council of Experts. Wow, that sounds great, doesn't it? The Council of Experts. Sounds like the sort of thing that you would see in Star Wars, just floating heads in a room. They're also known as the 5 Wise Men, and they told Germany's Chancellor that an extension to negotiations would be sensible. And that sounds sensible, don't it? Because they ain't got nowhere so far. It would sound sensible to everyone and expect those who have, or accept rather, those who have been persuaded by Russian troll farms and offshore billionaires and adverts on the side of buses that Brexit is the promised land and we all can go back to when we had polio and tuberculosis and there was rationing and the bombs were falling out of the skies. You know, the good old days. So these 5 wise men basically recommended that the UK stays in. It replicates its current EU membership conditions for a couple of years while we sort everything out. And who could argue with that?
I'm a nutcase.
They said if preventing Brexit is not possible, and that has also been mooted, that we might not actually leave at all. It doesn't have to happen. Experts have expressed that opinion. They said if preventing Brexit is not possible, then the objective of the negotiations should be to conclude a follow-up agreement that minimises damage from both sides. Well, there you are, you see. Doesn't that sound sensible?
No.
It does. It sounds sensible. They said it's likely that more time will be needed to negotiate this kind of agreement. And as the negotiations have so far produced what appears to be nothing at all, that seems about right. Unless you think that anything that interferes with us leaving immediately is thwarting Brexit. And so they did an annual report to the German Parliament. And these 5 wise men warned about the risk of a no-deal deal. You know, Mrs. M keeps banging on about, or she hasn't said this lately, but she was saying it constantly, that no deal would be better than a bad deal, which is a completely meaningless thing to say, because no deal would be a bad deal. But anyway, they said about the risk of a no deal that would cause significant economic upheaval in the bloc. And it would, but mostly in this country. They said, conversely, the possibility of the UK staying in the EU can't be completely excluded. That's what they said, can't be completely excluded. It's okay, everyone. We might not leave at all. What? Now everybody's happy. I know some peculiar old gentleman who's just spilled his pint of gentleman's old peculiar, mentioning no names. And as this was a story in the Daily Mail, and I'm kind of surprised that they printed it without much comment, really, implying that such a thing is a possibility, that we might not actually be leaving at all, or at worst, we might stay another couple of years. What year is it now? 2017, more or less? That's another 3 years. A bit, like I said, because it's the Mail, I scanned down to the comments section, which is always my favourite part. You just dip your toe in the primordial ooze, and there was what I think is called trolling. There was plenty of it about, and the best-rated comment, apart from the predictable 5 wise men, more like 5 deluded globalists, you know, which requires no thought at all. I mean, that's practically a robot that wrote that. The best comment was, seems the Germans are scared. Without the UK, the EU is definitely weaker. The EU needs the UK more than the UK needs the EU. And what on earth would make you believe that? Just curious. But it was the most popular comment. People loved it. I know I haven't actually got around to the thing that we have just been declared #1 in Europe at, but I will. First, here's a call in Dagenham. Oh, Pat.
Oh, hello. Yeah, I hated it when we left it, when we were when the referendum went wrong. Crap. I live in Dagenham, and no one in Dagenham knows what is going to happen. They haven't got a clue. It was all done on migration. And there is a bloke called Lord Coe who's been on telly recently.
Lord Coe? What, the sporting person?
No, another one. And he's a lord, he's a peer.
Yeah.
And he said he wrote the Article 50.
Oh, Care, Lord Care.
Care,
yeah.
Care. C-A-R-E.
K-E-R-R.
And he said we can leave it. We don't have to leave.
Yeah, we don't have. He's the fellow that actually wrote the Article 50. I mean, okay, it didn't take much to write it. It was just a small paragraph. But he is the architect of the method at which we're using to leave. And he said, we ain't got to leave. I think those were the exact words that he used.
But I'll tell you something. Theresa May, she's got so much pressure from her loads of ninnies.
Poor Theresa.
To actually leave as fast as possible, and she'll go with it. She will.
Yeah, but it's curious, isn't it, that there's so many. The majority of our elected representatives didn't want us to go, and yet we're doing it, yet they're working towards the hardest method of us leaving. It's just a pretty odd position that we're in.
I know, it's terrible. It's absolutely...
Well, you know about odd positions, Pat. You live in Dagenham.
Well, I've lived all over the country.
Right.
Born in Jersey. I'm not a Dagenhamite. I'm happy now. I'm a pensioner. And the guy in the post office, he ordered me a flag. I've got it hanging on my wall.
A flag?
Flag.
Oh, Euro flag.
Yeah, I'm so passionate about not leaving. I'm really angry.
I quite like the Euro flag. I mean, to take away for a minute what it actually represents, I think it's a good-looking flag. Don't you?
I think so. I think so.
I'm not overly keen on our flag.
Neither am I.
Not again. Just take away what it actually represents. I think because it's a smashing together of 3 different flags, and I'm not sure it's that good looking.
No. But perhaps you could do something.
Oh yeah, leave it with me.
I mean, someone's got to do something. But it was all old people. The old people that voted out. They wanted to be the land, what they used to know, with
exactly.
the bombs.
They wanted to turn back time.
Yeah.
Not even Cher can turn back time, Pat.
No. And that's a shame. I think you voted to remain, didn't you?
I did vote to remain. I mean, I'm not ideologically wedded to the EU because...
it's got its problems.
Yeah, but it doesn't everywhere. The reason that I voted to stay was because, you know what, I looked around and I thought, well, things are ticking along fairly well. I mean, we keep being told we're the 6th largest economy in the world and we're not racked with poverty. I mean, we've got problems. Mostly the result of successive governments not planning for the long term, planning for the short term only. But that's part of human nature. It's something that we perhaps could address. But why go through the most complicated procedure that the country has ever done outside of war when things seem to be ticking along okay, I thought?
Yeah, because this country was okay. It was rich, apparently. Not for some people.
Well, yeah, not for most of us, yeah, but apparently there's a ton of money out there. But none of it's falling on me, Pat. I don't know about you.
No, it's not. No. I get my pension, that's it, and I'm very careful.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing to spend it on in Dagenham, is there?
I hate Dagenham, but I love my little house. I've got a council house, which is like gold.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Why do you live in Dagenham if you hate it?
I landed here. I don't know how.
Right.
I don't know how I ended up here.
Well, there must be something nice about Dagenham.
No. Nothing.
Come on, Pat. There must be something nice about Dagenham.
Nothing at all. Nothing. Nothing. And the people in Dagenham, they are quite thick. I'm afraid they're not very bright, of them. And my friend said to me, "I don't know what to vote." I said, "Vote Remain." She goes, "All right then," but she hadn't got a clue. But I knew this country was going along pretty steadily, and then this stupid Cameron did the vote to leave referendum, and that is such a shame. And I think that it was such a narrow margin that before it happened they should have actually said, if it's too narrow, we can't do it.
Guess who did say precisely? I think these were his exact words. If the result is 48 to 52, it will be unfinished business, as in, it will not be a decisive vote, and we'll have to either vote again or decide by some other means. Guess who said that?
Who said that?
It was Nigel Farage.
I'm a nutcase.
It was him himself, because he thought that he would lose by 52 to 48, but he actually won by 52 to 48, at which point it was not unfinished business. At that point, it was case closed. No further discussion necessary.
I know. It's very, very sad.
How far are you from the river there, Pat?
Well, you go down Lodge, not far.
Right. Well, that's all right. I mean, you go to the river. You could sit by the river, watch the sun go down when it's nice out.
No, I'm too busy with I've got 14 cats, so...
Wait a minute. 14?
Yeah, 14.
Is that not 13 too many?
No, I love them, and they love me, and they're better than blokes. I've had 3 marriages. I'm on my own, and I love it.
Well, that's a lovely picture you're painting for us, Pat. As long as they don't go out and execute a lot of birds that they don't need to kill. They don't do that, do they?
No,
okay.
they can't, because the garden's fenced off. They can't get out the garden. I've got a massive garden with all trees and shrubs.
Well, see, there's something to like about Dagenham.
Yeah, my garden.
Exactly. Finally, we found something.
My front garden is trees and hedges, but every other garden...
That doesn't sound like Dagenham. Are you sure? Are you sure you're living in Dagenham? It sounds like you're living in the countryside. How can you have a huge garden in Dagenham? You must be made of money, Pat.
I love the countryside. That's got my front garden totally different to everybody else. Everybody else has got a square block of concrete for the cars, and so I'm a bit of a
horticulturalist.
Yeah.
Green-fingered.
Yeah, well, not particularly. I usually fall over in the garden, but no. there is a town.
I sometimes fall over in my garden, but it has got nothing to do with. Why do you fall over?
I fell over. I tripped.
Oh, okay. Well, it's got nothing to do with it's self-inflicted wounds, basically drinking too much. You know, that kind of thing.
I was holding on to a cat, picked the cat up.
Well, you can't steady yourself by holding on to a cat, Pat.
Oh, that's true. And there's a place called Grimsby.
Yeah.
Where now they don't want to come out of the EU. They want to be exempt.
Right. Well, you know what? All of London doesn't want to come out of the EU. We should build a big, beautiful wall around London, and London could stay in the EU, and the rest of the country could go its own way. London will keep its money, and Romford can keep whatever it makes. How does that sound?
Romford. Don't like Romford.
No. Well, there's nothing to like about it, is there?
Have you been there?
Romford. I don't think I have. But then there's no reason why anyone would go to Romford unless they lived there.
Well, people around here love Romford.
I doubt that, Pat.
And they love...
Only by comparison to Dagenham.
And they love Dagenham Heathway, which is absolute crap. Right. And I can't stand it. But I live for my cats. That keeps me busy. I help my friend who's disabled. And
you got a nice garden?
And I've got a beautiful garden.
Well, see, that's really... all you need. If you've got a nice garden somewhere outside that you can sit and watch the sun go down, then what else do you need? But don't steady yourself by leaning on a cat, Pat, because that sounds like you're asking for trouble. But thanks for that call. That was good.
Everything is going extremely well.
Oh, you bet your life it is. Enfield. Oh, Daniel.
Oh, hello, Nick. I spoke to you for a couple of months, and you've been a lucky boy.
Exactly.
But no, because the last time I spoke to you, I told you I'd never voted, and you couldn't believe it. The jaw hit the ground, and I needed counselling after just to get over the call. But no, you said something that was quite reminded me of something. A couple of weeks ago, I was listening to another radio station. I know
what.
And I know. Don't worry, I've ripped my knob off, and that will never happen again.
I think this is a call.
The radio knob.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So I ripped. It was another talk-based station where they get loads of old people to ring up. I don't know what I was listening to it for, but basically what happened. It was loads of old people ringing up, and it dawned on me that they were all ringing up, saying why they voted to come out of the European Union.
Yeah.
And what it was they were all saying that. That they didn't like the thought of Germany having so much power over this country, and because of the war, and I thought to myself, I think there's certain older generation people who were born around that sort of time. They equate Germans to Nazis. They can't see the two differences. So they think that by them having, they see Chancellor Merkel and that, by her having all this power, or they equate to being all this power, she's actually, or Germany is actually, somehow, they're going to suddenly become like, I don't know, some Nazis, or Hitler's going to be reborn, or I don't know what they think, but it's crazy. But that was just something that I noticed, and I'd never heard anyone actually sort of
express express that opinion before. That's because you don't hang out with old people.
How do you know I don't?
Well, because, young people tend to hang out with people who are of their own age.
No, I don't, not them kind of people.
Yeah.
No.
So, yes, when you hear people phoning in, then you will be mixing, metaphorically speaking, with people that you ordinarily wouldn't meet on a regular basis, which is, part of the beauty of a show like this, because, most people stick with their own kind.
That's right. Yeah.
But there is a large number of people for whom Germany equals Nazis.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. It's like, it's the same sort of thing where, I don't know, older people also think all drugs are the same. It's just like certain thinking, isn't it? Like, as time, it's the truth, isn't it? That's the truth. So older people have this kind of belief in certain things, and sorry, I'm hearing like an echo on the line or something. I don't know, or maybe
echo.
Maybe Putin's listening to this call.
I think he probably is. Yes. No, I'm listening to nothing. It is not me. It's.
He's been listening to your mock German, mock Russian accent. I don't think he's.
I know, he's very upset. I shall probably pay for it later. Yeah.
Well, no, don't be silly. But so I just thought it was an interesting angle to look at it, because I thought. I'd never even thought of that, but then it was call after call saying this, and I was thinking, oh my God, they believe that Germany.
The Germans are Nazis. Yeah. Well, it's indisputable that the demographic profile of the people that voted out skews older. I know that not every old person voted out, nor every young person voted in. I know that that's true, but overall, by and large, the outers were older, and yes, the older people do still. There's an element that still has holds negative feelings about Germany because of the Second World War, which I think ended quite a long time ago.
But you can kind of understand in a way, if they were born around that time, that maybe they have a. I mean, we could never really understand.
No, well, we didn't go through it. And plus, I mean, I don't consider myself to be old, although younger people will think that I am. I think whatever age you are, old starts considerably older than you are. I think that's probably true forever. But the older you get, the less likely it is that you will be take on board new ideas or change your opinions that have been long held. And so it's not completely surprising that people who do remember either the Second World War itself or its aftermath, that they would have negative feelings that are completely ingrained about Germany and Europe and therefore Europe in general. So it's not totally surprising, and it does inform why a lot of our elder citizens were persuaded to vote out. That, and they do remember a time when Britain was virtually, as near as makes no difference, 100% British. And there were far fewer of us, and birds were singing in the trees, and you could park your car anywhere because nobody had one.
Yeah. But it's obviously looking through things with, what is it, rose
tinted glasses.
Yeah. They think that everything's was beautiful and everything was amazing, and it's just not the case.
And they were young and gorgeous. Don't forget about that part.
Yeah. So you obviously think of the best times in your life, but obviously during war and rationing. But maybe what it is with people as well. I think they try to forget the worst parts of their lives, because you don't want to keep on remembering the worst part. You just remember, the good old days, and that's how it
But
works.
the way you put that, it sounds like a conscious effort on their part. But I don't think that's how the mind works. I think the mind deletes things that are painful. And puts to the fore memories that are pleasant. So you know, if you, for instance, you were walking through the countryside, but your leg really hurt, or your knees were giving you jip, then and every step was painful. When you think back, you won't remember the pain. You'll just remember how nice the countryside was. Does that make sense?
That's absolutely true. That's how the mind
works
with trauma and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Tries to forget it.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to also speak about trifles. No, I'm joking. I do love a trifle, though.
Trifle.
I could eat a 4-man trifle or 4-woman. Let's keep it politically correct there. But
I don't think there's such a thing as a 4-man trifle. I think it would be
4-person trifle then.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly right. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay.
All right.
But,
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Excellent work. Thanks a lot, Daniel. Cheers, mate. Trifle. Don't come between a man and his trifle. California. Amy. That's a bit vague. That's a bit vague, Amy. Where are you?
Ventura, California.
Ah, yes, Ventura. Down the highway.
Yeah.
With Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Up from LA.
Ventura Highway.
Oh.
Wasn't that Crosby, Stills and Nash?
Rock and roll!
Yeah, I believe so. Or maybe it was America. Was it America? The band America? Ventura Highway. I think it was probably the band America. Oh, I bet I got that right.
There you go. I was waiting for that bing. Hey, Nick.
Hey, wait a minute. Amy, you're not in California. I know who you are. Oh, my God. Not her again. How many different pseudonyms are you going to use to call this show? Over and over and over again. So, one day she's Amy, and another day she's Sue, and then I can't remember what her actual name is, but I've heard that call 1,000 times, and it's always the bloomin' same. Donald Trump is the greatest person that ever existed in the history of politics. Nobody is more presidential than Donald Trump.
I can be more presidential than anybody.
I've heard that again and again and again. Excruciating. But anyway, I'm glad that you called, and it was lovely to speak to you again. John says there are old voters and bold voters, but there are no old bold voters. That sounds like the sort of thing that you would write to get somebody to say something that would make them sound stupid, to get them to say something that they wouldn't ordinarily do. But I can't figure out where that. There are no old bold voters. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think so.
But it sounds like a joke, but I don't get the joke. It sounds like he's trying to make me say something that's rude, but it doesn't look rude when it's written down. It's like one of those things, you know what I mean? It doesn't look rude when it's written down, but when you say it out loud, it becomes rude. But it's not that, is it?
No, I think it's just a legitimate point.
A legitimate point. Wow, finally we've got one on this show. It only took us 2 hours, but we eventually arrived at a legitimate point. Can you believe that?
No.
And I can't stand him.
Well, that was... see, like I'm saying, the drama just keeps on coming, don't it? So a secret letter from Boris Johnson and Michael Gove instructing the Prime Minister on how to run Brexit has emerged. This is according to the Mail on Sunday. The ministers want transition arrangements for Britain's exit from the EU to end on June the 30th, 2021. Their Hard Brexit Manifesto has named that date as the fixed end of Britain's transition period after we leave the EU in March 2019. They said, that's the date. Right, that's it. We're leaving. And according to the Mail, Mrs M is effectively being held to ransom over Brexit by Boris Johnson and Michael Gove. I thought that they were sworn enemies. I thought they hated each other. They made a series of veiled threats and a secret missive to the Prime Minister which contained blunt instructions on how she should deliver the hard Brexit they demand. I don't know. I think she should get rid of these guys. I mean, I know it's going to become ever more increasingly difficult for her, but who the hell are these people? Well, I know who the hell they are. More to the point, who the hell do they think they are? It's like they're staging a coup. The Mail says it will fuel claims that the Brexit stance of Mrs May, who supported the Remain campaign during the EU referendum, is being dictated by Gove and Johnson. Do we want those people running our country?
No.
That's my answer. No. I know it's superficial, but just look at them. I mean, do you want Michael Gove running anything? I know it's superficial, but do you want that man running anything? Do you want him representing our country? And as for Bozo of the FO, well, it's got to be no, 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 no. There is continuing speculation of a leadership challenge to Mrs M, who has struggled to impose her authority since the botched general election. How is that snap election working out for you, Mrs M?
Oh, fabulous.
You've got neither of these two guys. I mean, surely not. Boris Johnson, Prime Minister? I mean, what could possibly be more ridiculous than that?
You are going to love President Trump.
Right, but apart from that... Government insiders say the letter, the contents of which have been made known to the Mail on Sunday, was sent last month. A well-placed source said it suggested that Mr Gove and Mr Johnson were running what was tantamount to a hard Brexit cell inside the cabinet. Wow. It just gets, it's entertaining. If it wasn't so serious, it would be hilarious. Selby. Hello, Sylvia.
Oh, hello, Nick. Well, I was listening to you you were talking to Pat, and she was saying she loves the European flag.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard trivial rubbish coming from her. I love the Union Jack, and I am an older voter.
No.
And I voted out.
No.
And it wasn't the purpose of just immigration. There were lots of things that I was not happy with being in the European Union.
Like what?
And I'd say...
Like what?
Pardon?
Like what?
Like what? The money that we're paying into the European Union, and the best part of them have been unelected.
But Sylvia, well, that's not true. The unelected part's not true. The money that we pay in, it's like being in a club. Just imagine that you pay £10 to be in a club, but you get £15 in benefits back. Then you're
I don't believe that, Nick.
No, I'm just saying, just imagine.
Right.
Then you're £5 up on the deal. Does that sound like a good deal to you?
Well, that's not the case with the European Union. You're just putting it in a nice way how you think it works. But what I want to see... But what you're doing...
But what you're doing... Wait a minute. It's the other way around. You're saying... You're just making it up. You're doing the exact thing that you're accusing me of doing. But based on no information of any kind whatsoever, you're saying that essentially we're just throwing money away by giving it to the EU.
Well, let's put it this way. There's lots of figures branding around of what it's costing us to be in the European Union.
Yeah, but none of those figures actually represent the total, the sum of what it is that we gain by being in there. They don't include the money that comes directly back at us, nor do they include the overall economic benefit of being within that club.
Well, I think we'd benefit a hell of a lot because trade is booming. I've never seen as many jobs advertised. I can even tell where I live. I've been in this where I live, and I've seen times where there's been no jobs in the paper.
But Sylvia, we're not out yet. We're still in. So anything that has accrued now is not as a result of us leaving because we haven't left yet.
Well, to tell you the truth, I can't wait. And all I'd like to say to Theresa May, you need some steel and stand up to these people. We do not want to be in the European Union. We want to trade with everybody and we want out. And I do not want to see vast sums of money that we have to pay to the European Union to be out of it.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a well-informed point, Sylvia. Thanks for your wisdom. I mean, I know that was dismissive, but really. Here's a call in the Algarve. Roger, what's the weather like in the Algarve at the moment?
I don't want to spoil your day, but it's about 26, and the forecast is like that for the rest of the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, yes, thank you, Roger, but we don't wish to know that.
I know. I'm sorry. I'll tell you, it's pouring with rain. Shall I?
Thank you. Yes, that's more like it. Pouring with rain and bloomin' freezing.
Yeah, lovely freshly caught fish on the beach tomorrow. Swim in the sea. No immigrants come in on the Algarve. The boats can't make it.
Right.
But I wanted, the reason I was ringing in was there's that guy, Mohammed you had from Camden Town, Kentish Town, about half an hour ago, who was an extremely bright guy. As you said, what can he do? How can he do all those things in a day? But basically what he was saying made a lot of sense. Some of the things he was saying made a lot of sense.
Which bit? I can't remember what we were talking about.
You said it. But the point I think people have got to realise is that we are not, what our exports are principally financial instruments and services.
Correct.
We don't export heavy plants and things like that.
No, 80% of our economy is services.
Services, okay? So what we import are things like cars and washing machines, which are all financed by hire purchase, usually, credit, bank loans, which are now getting more difficult. And if you were to buy a Mercedes today, for example, you'll see on the bottom of the advert, the money's being lent to you on a 3-year leasing arrangement usually, which they say at about 400. They tell you the advert, and then the real conditions are at the end of the advert, going at about 400 miles an hour. And if you can understand one of those words, except that I always remember that you won't own the car. They're the 4 words. After 4 years, after 4 years, you've paid out all this money, you won't own the car.
You still won't own the car, yeah.
That's right, and it always ends up saying terms and conditions apply. You know. But
always read the label, never operate heavy machinery, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So a lot of the Mercedes and quality cars that are coming into here are being financed by...
the entire car industry is... the sales are predicated upon it. It's all on credit. It's going to be the next credit bubble. That's going to be the one that's going to really sink the world's economy, is... Because the last one was about property, the property credit bubble, the bad credit for people who are buying houses that they couldn't afford. This time around, it's cars.
Yes. Well, property market in London's coming off the top. I get agents from St John's Wood and Hampstead. That's an area where my daughter lives, and every one of them this last week has said prices reduced.
Yeah, well, St John's Wood and Hampstead, I mean, that's at the very peak of the very top of the market. That is super prime stuff, yeah. And, there has been a reduction in interest from overseas because naturally people want to wait to find out what the hell is going to happen before they plunge millions and millions and millions of pounds in property investments. At the very top of the market, people who are selling houses for 5, 6, 10, 20 million pounds, they're having to reduce the amount that they're asking.
The thing that amuses me so much now is that our idea is to somehow hang on to the single market in a transitional period. We want to get out in March 19, but we want to hang on for a traditional period. To me, that's like resigning from Annabelle's and saying, but I want to use the bar until 2024.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean, but there is an element of truth in that the negotiations to figure out what it is that's going to happen next are so mind-bogglingly complicated that we can't. It's unachievable to figure it out and to replace all of the rules and regulations with brand new ones. And all the agreements and everything that needs to be agreed. I mean, it's the tiny minutiae of detail that needs to be thrashed out is just never ending. And so we can't do it in the period that we have allotted ourselves. It just can't be done. So it does make sense to have some sort of status quo. If we are going to leave, which seems likely, that we're going to have some sort of platform to, some sort of steady platform from which we can then launch into the future. But to just cut off everything now and go to World Trade Organization rules, that would be insane, because there is already... as you were probably... Hang on a minute, the lights have gone out, so I have to walk up and down to turn them back on again. That's very annoying. But World Trade Organization rules, they are well established for goods, like cars and machinery and food and all that sort of stuff. But they're not well established for services, which, as you say, is what we do. So Germany knows what they will be the consequence of World Trade Organizations for their export, but we don't really have any idea what they're going to be for services. It could be anything. So it's like a shot in the dark.
As you said earlier, you could take a laptop from London to Frankfurt tomorrow and start trading there.
Exactly.
Absolutely. But at least we've got Boris to help us.
Yeah, at least we've got Boris, who may be leading us through the mire.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it just got worse. All right, thanks a lot, Roger.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
It's all about Jane in West Kensington. Hello, Jane.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
I'm great, mate.
Good. I've just got, before I go on to my main point, can I just send a message to Sylvia?
You want to say hi to everyone you know?
No, just Sylvia. I think she's great, and whenever she comes on, I think what a strong, vibrant woman, and I always agree with everything she says. And I just want to say, go, Sylvia.
Who is Sylvia?
I know that won't please you.
I've got no idea who Sylvia is. Who's Sylvia?
The lady who phoned you about 10 minutes ago about leaving Europe.
Oh, that nice northern lady who was screaming about all that money
Not screaming.
Shouting, or she was speaking with a raised voice about all the money that we send, and she don't want to send no more, like that. That was Sylvia, wasn't it?
No, she don't. Well, don't mock her accent, please.
Why not? I mean, I knock Vladimir Putin's accent, I knock Donald Trump's accent. Why should North Yorkshire accent be off limits?
I just think she's great. Okay?
But she made no sense. She made no sense.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the problem with Brexit to me. It was decided on by people who have no information of any kind whatsoever.
Yes,
That's
Nick.
the problem.
Yes, Nick.
Anyway, go on.
I totally agree, if that makes you happy.
My happiness is neither here nor there, Jane.
Anyway, good luck, Sylvia, and I'm with you, girl.
Yeah, we love you, Sylvia.
Right. Can I just mention what I don't have a text, you see. I can't text. And I just wanted to make it clear to you about this old bold thing. Do you remember that quote you had about 20 minutes ago?
Oh, yeah. What was it? What was it? It's old and there's no... What was it?
They're old and they're bold.
They're old.
Voters?
They're old voters and they're bold voters, but there are no old bold voters.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a quote from Some Mothers to Adam and Frank Spencer.
Another unfunny British comedy. I hated that show. What was he trying to be? I mean, what was he playing in that show? I couldn't figure it out. It was either the gayest person you've ever seen, or he was going for mentally ill. What was he trying for?
Yes, he had, I think, slightly mentally ill, perhaps.
Right, so we were laughing at a mentally ill character. Now that just feels, it always made me feel uncomfortable and never made me laugh, ever.
But anyway, this quote is this episode is when he's learning to fly,
right.
You see. And the chap who's instructing him, before they get into the plane, and he's got all his stuff on, you know, and he says, now, Mr. Spencer, he says, before we get in the plane, I want you to remember this. There are old pilots and there are bold pilots, but there are no old, bold pilots.
Right, well, that makes sense.
And that means,
be careful.
And don't do anything reckless.
Right.
And I just wanted to say that, really. I can't text you because I can't text you see. So I phoned your beautiful Anushka from Poland.
Yeah, who's that?
And she said, well, do you want to talk to Nick yourself because you can put it better than I could?
Right.
So I said, oh, yeah, okay then.
And so here we are.
So there we are, and there you go. So now you know, you see. So that's where it comes from, and that's all I have to say, really.
Well, it sounds like you said it. Excellent work, Jane.
Okay, that's all.
Cheers, my dear. Ta-ra. Now we know. Frank Spencer. Ugh. That just lasted forever, that show. It just went on and on and on. I just never really got it. But there's so much of British comedy that I don't get. Almost all of it. On the other hand, I can watch Fawlty Towers again and again and again, and it still just makes me laugh out loud every single time. And I guess that too is we are watching somebody disintegrating mentally before our eyes. I mean, he does appear to be having some sort of breakdown in every episode. Let's have a call in Worthing. Sam.
Hello, Nick.
Yes, Sam.
How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Great show. You know what? I feel so sorry for Theresa May.
I'm getting to feel sorry for her too. Yeah.
Yeah, she's going through a lot. I mean, if I was her, do you know what I'd do?
Pack it in.
I'd sack Boris Johnson and Michael Gove, and then dare the party or anyone in the party to challenge her.
Mm.
You know, she's in a stronger position to do what she believes in. I think there's something immoral about abandoning your own judgment. I don't think she believes in Brexit.
No, I don't.
She's been forced to do it.
But she seems to be donning the cloak of a Brexit ultra. She seems to be, I don't know whether she's just saying these hard Brexit things, over and over again to assuage the backbenchers, or whether she actually believes it. It's hard to tell. But I just can't imagine that she's enjoying the job. If I were her, I'd just pack it in. If I were her, I'd sack them both, and then see what happens next. Because who cares? She's probably comfortably well off.
Yeah, because the way things are going, I think she's going to go down anyway. And today, I found it really interesting. My younger brother asked me a question because, I got a new car, and he said, if you go to a restaurant and there's a Park and Valley service, and there's a guy in a clown suit, and then there was Boris Johnson, would you trust any of them with your keys?
No, I'd park my own car.
And I was like, no, but, we can't have Boris Johnson running, the country if you can't trust him to do,
No, I wouldn't trust Boris Johnson to wash my cat.
I mean, he's putting people's life in danger, the Iranians.
Yeah.
And then, he's...
I mean, let's not... okay, it was stupid of him because he's just a man who has no diplomatic skills whatsoever, which is alarming because he's our chief diplomat. He is the one that is representing this country abroad, and he doesn't seem to have got that idea. He just is just speaking off the top of his head, as though every little thing he says is hilarious and amusing, and people can't wait to hear what he's going to say next. Well, that might be true if he's on television on an entertainment program, because he is entertaining. There's no doubt about it. But not when you're with delegates of other countries who are expecting you to speak on behalf of the government.
Exactly. Do you know what, Nick? If he was to run the whole negotiations with the EU, I reckon he might be more effective in that role, because he probably will confuse them.
They're thinking, well, we've taken these English courses and we seem to be very conversant with the language, but we've got no idea what this bloke's talking about.
He's highly educated.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he just keeps telling us that over and over and over again. Every little thing he says seems to be ramming that notion down our throats. Yeah. We get it, Boris. You went to Eton. We get it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thanks a lot, Sam. Cheers, mate. It really is coming to a head. I wonder what's going to happen next. And we won't have to wait that long to find out. That's the exciting part. It could blow up this week. The stuff that's happening, it's mind-boggling, ain't it? South Norwood, hello, Ray.
Oh, hello, Nick. I've just been so angry because nobody's listened to a thing I'm saying about this Brexit thing, that the European Union and all these politicians are all gone crazy because they made a rule and none of them stuck to the rule, the European Union, which was that we had to trigger it in 3 months. And we went over the 3 months and no one said a word about that, which means the thing is probably legal anyway, what we're doing at present, because we went over the 3 months. There's a 3 months and then 2 years from the referendum result.
3 months from when?
The referendum result. When we got the referendum result, we had 3 months to trigger it, and we didn't trigger it till about 4.5 or 5 months. And the reason why the BBC told us this before, they said the 3 months was to show that you were ready. That's why they gave them the 3 months to trigger it. And 3 months came up, and we weren't ready. And nobody's taken any notice of it, that the fact we went over the 3 months. And look at the mess we've been in since that, because the European Union should have stopped it when the 3 months was up. They should have said, listen, Britain, you have to go back to the drawing board and do it again because you aren't ready. Now, after the 3 months passed, 6 months or something, they started saying, well, Britain isn't ready. Well, they should have noticed that when the 3 months was up. That's what the rule was about. 28 countries signed it. But nobody's taken any notice of the fact that this might be an illegal thing we're doing right now because we went over the 3 months and we broke the European rule. Can somebody tell me why isn't anybody taking any notice of that?
It's news to me. I don't really know what.
Remember, it was
what
3
it is.
months and 2 years. They said 3 months to trigger it, and then you had 2 years to work it out. Well, the reason why they gave us the 3 months to trigger it was the fact that it showed that you were ready. You had all the papers sorted out, and because when they bring all the 28 together, all the 27 get around, they can all discuss what's going on because you've got something laid out. We had nothing laid out. The 3 months came, and we had nothing so they went on limped for 4.5 months to about 5 months before they triggered it. And even then, we only gave them a piece of paper with 6 lines on it, and we weren't ready at all. And now we've got all this mess, and we're all saying we're not ready. We weren't. I don't understand. It's madness. Why didn't somebody stop it? Or taken the European Union to court about it, that they managed to carry on even though they broke their own rule?
Right. Well, I wouldn't get worked up about it, Ray. There's plenty of other stuff to get worked up about. There's no end of things to get worked up about. I'll give you a list if you like. I'll pop it in the post. Nobody really cares about 3 months here or 3 months there. I don't have any knowledge of that. But, the amount of things that I've forgotten far outweigh the amount of things that I've remembered. So that just may be one of the things that's slipped out. That's probably, overnight it will have slipped out on my pillow. Right out my ear. Don't worry about it, Ray. Everything will be fine in the end, unless it isn't, in which case, worry.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know what that guy was talking about before the news there. He seemed very agitated about 3 months, but I've got no idea what he was on about. Do you have any idea what he was on about, my glamorous assistant?
I can't say I do.
No, we've got no clue. But he seemed to be very, very angry about it. So at least there was that. We have no idea what that call was about, but by that method, it fits right in on this show. I think you'll find that that's correct. Camden. Hello, Lawrence.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Okay, listen, I just want to say, just a couple of things about, the leaving the EU. Number one, we have, as part of the EU, we have courts that will protect us. Because let's not forget that this government tried to take away our human rights because of 2 or 3 maniacs running around. If they take away our human rights, we have no rights. That's the least that we have. The other thing is I wanted to say was...
well, which human rights are you talking about?
Well, you know what is a human right? The right to breathe, the right to live, the right to speak, the right to...
Now, wait a minute. If we leave the EU, we'll lose the right to breathe?
Well, no, I'm saying... No, hang on for a second. Hang on, please.
Because that's alarming. I hadn't heard that before.
No, it's very alarming.
People should know that.
Warning.
I think we want to vote again.
Okay, what is more alarming is the fact that you have a government that wants to scrap the human rights laws in our country. If you don't have that, you have nothing. Anyway, let's move on. And I'll move on to this.
Yes.
Why does LBC Radio give Nigel Farage 5 days a week? So I have to listen to that voice 5 days a week. What did he do? I worked for to leave for 20 years, and once you left, what did you do? You ran away.
Well, you'll be able to discuss that with him.
No,
five
you know
days
what?
a week.
The only reason I wouldn't, you know what, I wouldn't give that man a second of my time. The only reason that I tune in is because of you, and I'm going to tell you as well. You work for the devil there, my friend.
Well, that is alarming news, and if only I'd known that before I signed the contract.
Alarming news? You know it. You know it as well as I do.
The devil, you say?
Actually, yeah, I think.
I thought I was sitting here doing God's work. I had no idea.
Oh, really? No. I said you personally.
Yeah.
You personally. I tune in because of you, but I think you are working for a company or a whatever who gives a man. How much does Nigel Farage get paid for going on 5 days a week?
I have no idea, Lawrence. But the thing is, you're talking about him. See how that works?
No, actually, somebody should speak up and say, what is this all about?
Well, you can discuss that with him. The phones are open 5 days a week. You can talk to Uncle Nige. That's the thing. He starts conversations. I mean, the stuff that man comes out with.
The arguments that UKIP stands for aren't valid.
You know, stuff like that. There's no end of things that Nigel Farage will say.
We've got a few idiots in our party.
You never know what he's going to say next. You can discuss your issues with Nige 5 days a week. Then isn't that better than not being able to discuss it with him at all? Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Lawrence. Let's have a call in Sevenoaks. Mark.
Hi. I was wondering about Brexit. The government seems to accept that the deal will be devolved to some degree because they're talking separately about conditions in Northern Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
So I would have thought that it would be racist if they didn't at least consult with the other regions to see what they wanted. And if they do do things in a devolved manner, they seem already to have a deal in place that could be used as a starting point, because not all the British state is in the EU anyway. Basically, the Isle of Man is in the customs union, but not in the EU. And if you had parts of the UK that wanted to leave, you could simply alter the border of the Isle of Man to include them. And that would be a first step, and seem to satisfy pretty much all of the things that the EU is asking for.
Right, if you weren't confused beforehand, then you certainly are now. I know I am.
Well, what part of my reasoning do you find confusing?
So you're suggesting that, what is it you're suggesting for Ireland and Northern Ireland?
I'm saying that because the government is considering the Northern Ireland Brexit separately, which I'm not against them doing that, they are devolving the process of Brexit to the regions.
Well, no, not really. In a sense, they've already done that by having all of us vote for this issue. I mean, we have given the power to the regions, but we've then conglomerated their decision with everybody else's and come up to see what the overall opinion is. I mean, if you really want to devolve power to the regions, then the cities should secede from the union and join together to form an economic powerhouse, London and Manchester and Birmingham and Leeds and so on, Glasgow and Edinburgh, and we can all leave the union and let the rest of the country leave the EU as they wish, because the cities didn't want to leave.
I agree that the vote was different in different parts of the country. What I'm saying is that if people want to insist that Brexit has to be uniform, then they can't satisfy the requirements of Northern Ireland, the Northern Ireland problem.
Yeah, but
they have accepted that they're going to do that.
Yes, but you're suggesting that that Northern Ireland will be looked at differently because that is the desire, that is the wishes of the Northern Irish people. But that's not the reason why why it's an issue on leaving the EU. As you know, it's the problem is that there is a border with a country that would remain within the EU, Ireland, whereas Northern Ireland will be leaving, and there's historical problems about having a border there. So nobody really wants a hard border there because apparently that would invite the terrorists to recommence their operations. I don't know quite why, but apparently that's the case. So it's not because Northern Ireland are getting a special dispensation for their opinions. It's to save lives, I think.
Well, they're still being treated differently, and therefore...
But it is different, because there is a hard border, there is a land border between the two. That's the problem. You can't have Northern Ireland leaving the EU and Southern Ireland remaining in the EU, but not having some sort of customs border there.
Yeah. No, I'm not suggesting that Northern Ireland shouldn't be treated in the sort of way that they're going to treat it. What I'm saying is that if they're going to treat it in that way, then why shouldn't the other regions have the right to be treated in that way as well? That's what I'm saying.
But the other regions don't have a border with a country that would remain within the EU.
Sure, I understand that, but nevertheless, if you want to avoid discrimination, you can on the one hand satisfy the problem in Northern Ireland in the way that you've said. On the other hand, satisfy the problem regarding discrimination by treating everybody else, giving them the same options.
Right, but the implication of what you're saying is that Northern Ireland are being given this dispensation because of their because the people have specifically asked for it, but they haven't. They're just trying to solve a problem about a border.
I'm not sure that is relevant. Because
well, it is. That's the nub of your issue.
No, but I understand that it's relevant that they treat them in that way because of the border. But why then is it not? Why? How does it?
Well,
why isn't it more equal?
All right, but which regions are you concerned about? Because Scotland wanted to remain in. Is that the region that you're concerned about?
I am. Well, I understand. No, I'm thinking about all of the regions. The point is that...
But I think Wales wanted to leave, didn't they?
Yes, but if one was to consult them now with the swing against Brexit...
I'm not entirely sure there has been a swing against Brexit. I think people just want to not talk about it anymore. I just think that people think, oh, God, whatever it is, just get on with it, and we don't care if we do die.
Well, some people some Remainers who have said they wanted to get on with it have taken that view. But
yeah, a few.
Sorry?
There has been a few Remainers. Well, no, the Leavers seem to still be convinced that they made the right decision.
Well, then why is it the number of people who are happy with who think Brexit's a good idea dropped to 45%?
Well, I think that probably because they are receiving news about the chaos on a daily basis, and there's a dawning realisation that it's not going to be all sunny uplands over the Brexit fence. But that doesn't mean to say that they want to revisit their decision. They just would rather it was being dealt with better. Yes. Finally, an echoing silence. All right, thanks a lot, Mark.
Come on, we're running late!
Yes, I'll come to the thing that we're number one in Europe about in just a second. But first, I must take this vital call in Walthamstow. Oh, Carla.
Yes?
Carla.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Such confusion.
Finally, we're here.
No, I was just going to sort of bring something up that... what we have in this country is a parliamentary democracy.
Yeah.
Now, if you do referendums, you do a direct democracy.
Yes.
So unless it's actually embedded in your political system, it just leads to confusion. I mean, we do.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
We have the result.
There is confusion at every turn.
And we should have had at least a 60 or 65% either side.
Well, that's what Nigel Farage. He didn't put a specific number of 60 on it, but he specifically said that if the result was 48 to 52, then that would not constitute a final decision. That's what he said. But because it went his way, 48 to 52, then that does constitute a final decision, and no further discussion may be entered into. That's what Nigel Farage said.
There's also a lot of people who haven't voted. I mean, we should have had the demand that everybody vote.
Well, I think that everybody should have to vote in every referendum that we have.
Yes, obviously.
It should be the law.
Because with a direct democracy, it's got a disadvantage that it opens itself to populism.
Exactly. Well,
and then you're going to have people who've got an axe to grind.
Yeah.
They've got something against the government.
It opens itself to offshore billionaires using their tax avoidance billions to take this country in a direction that the young don't want to go in. That's what it...
Well, no, because I've got 2 grandchildren and they're devastated, actually.
It isn't democracy. It's the opposite of democracy.
Yeah,
it's the hijacking of democracy.
It's right. You're right. And I think we really should start again. Let's have another vote and sort it out properly this time.
So there it is. Problem solved. All we have to do is vote again.
Oh, no.
Go through all that again.
Oh, well, do it properly this time.
Well, you know what? If let's just assume that, just for giggles, that Brexit will be catastrophic financially for this country. Just to assume that for a second. Would it be sensible to continue down this road if we knew that it would be bad for us, that we would all be poorer afterwards? Would it be sensible to carry on? The answer must be no.
No, absolutely not. But we don't know anything.
Well, exactly. But precisely, we don't know that. But if we did, then it would be sensible to stop and revisit it. So just admitting that does insert an element of doubt, whereas before there seems only certainty on the part of people that voted out. If it will not be in our best interest, then we should stop. It's like the example that I've given several times before is we're at a literal fork in the road. We can either go left or right. Now, we decided to go right. Now, around the corner, so we charge off, we're going to the right, and 100 yards up, the road ends in a ravine. Now, just because we previously decided to take this fork, do we still continue to drive even though it will mean driving off a cliff to our inevitable doom? Or do we think, well, maybe we might have made the wrong decision and we should go back and think again? Obviously, any sensible person would say the latter, that we should think again. But we're in a position where we don't really know what the result will be.
Well, that's a problem, isn't it? We don't know either way.
I know. Well, all we can agree on is that we can't agree on anything.
No. Yeah. Confusion.
Exactly. All right. Thanks a lot, Carla. Okay, here it is. We made it. We are number 1. We're the biggest in Europe. By which I mean the fattest. Britain has the worst obesity problem in Western Europe. We are number 1. Obesity rates in the UK have nearly doubled since the early 1990s. What? That doesn't seem very long ago. Doubled since the early 1990s. Oh my God, the lights have gone out. Just only 5 extra minutes, that's all I require. I thought I wandered around during the half-hour break. Is it the timer on even shorter period than it was before? I'll have to do the whole show like continually dancing from this moment on, waving my arms around like I just don't care. We're the fattest country in Europe. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Obesity rates in the UK have doubled since the 1990s. This is according to the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development. One of the report authors warned that Britain is following the lead of the US.
Oh, no.
Yes, we don't want to go there. The US is the second most obese country in the world. First, they're number one. The most obese country in the world, and that's where we're going. We're following them, as opposed to following svelte and gorgeous Italy, for instance. In all the world, only Mexico, the US, New Zealand, Hungary and Australia are fatter than we are. 2 years ago, we were the 10th fattest country on Earth, and now we're the 6th. And rising. You know, I think that if we all pull together as a team, I am certain that we can take Australia and Hungary by this time next year. We'll come puffing off the bend to pip them at the post. The report said that prevalence of obesity in the UK is 27%, as in 27% of all of us here are huge, way too big. It's like we're not human being sized anymore. If you took a time machine from the 1970s and took it directly to this moment now, you wouldn't recognise us anymore. You'd think that there was something in the air. Our idea of what is normal is changing. That's what the OECD said too. They said it's now normal for people in Britain to be enormously overweight in a way that you don't see in other European countries. In Spain, well, let's do Italy. In Italy, only 10% of the people there are obese. In this country, it's getting on for 30%. 3 times as bad. And what do they do that we don't do? Cook from scratch. And the chief nutritionist at Public Health England, Dr. Allison, said, we are working with the industry, the food industry, to make food healthier, and we've provided guidance for councils and blah, blah, blah. You know, considering that it's a national emergency, the government could stop cooperating with the food companies that have caused this in the first place and start to legislate against them. By banning adverts, for instance, from the companies that have caused this gigantic problem. But the companies wouldn't like that, and the companies have billions and billions of pounds in lobbying money to prevent that from happening. Just remember that next time the government tells you that they are only interested in your health. It occurs to me that if you could get high from junk food, it would be banned tomorrow. But you can only get dead. So that's okay then. I'm feeling hungry right now. How about you? Who knows what might happen between now and next Friday at 10 o'clock? Will Theresa May still be our Prime Minister? Will World War III start? What will Vladimir Putin tell Donald Trump to do? It boggles my tiny mind just thinking about it. But we will chew it up and spit it out this time next... well, not this time, but next Friday at 10 o'clock. That's when we will spit it out.